Now let's try to solve question number 2, where we have a material inventory tracker. And in part 1, we have to implement a function called calculate total mass inventory, which has as its argument an inventory dictionary. It takes a dictionary where keys are material types. For example, they may be steel or aluminum, and the values are stock levels. These are integer quantities representing mass units. The function calculates and returns the total mass units available across all the materials that are given in the dictionary, and if the dictionary is empty, it returns 0. An example usage is also given where the dictionary is defined. Then the total mass is calculated using the function that we are tasked with defining in this question. And then once the function returns the value of the total mass, it itself does not print anything, but then we print the total mass to the console output. And the expected console output is total mass available and the number of units over there. Some edge cases are also defined. If the inventory dictionary is empty, then the expected return value is 0. So that should be printed. We have 3 test cases. The first test case just confirms that a function exists. The second test case uses an inventory dictionary with multiple materials. And the third test case uses an empty inventory dictionary. So let's start defining our function. And here we will first copy the definition of the function so that we do not make a mistake in the syntax. First of all, let's check for the edge case. If the dictionary pass to the function is empty, then we should return 0 from this function. But if that is not so, then we need to sum all the quantities in the value. So total mass equals the sum of the values in the dictionary, and that will then return the total mass. Let's check if we are correct with our definition of this function. And all test cases pass, so we were right. And now we have to do part 2, where we flag low stock items. And here the task is to implement a function called flag low stock, which has the variables the inventory dictionary, and a threshold is also passed to it with the default value of 10. And this takes the same inventory dictionary as input, identifies the materials where stock falls below the threshold that is passed to it as an argument. Here the default is 10, so if nothing is passed, 10 will be the default. And it returns a list of material names that are low in stock. If no materials are below the threshold, then it will return an empty list. An example usage is also given, where the inventory dictionary is defined with the names of the materials and their respective values or their quantities. Low stock items are flagged using this function, and the expected return value would be whichever are lower than the threshold, where the default value is 10. The edge cases are that if all materials are above the threshold, then an empty list should be returned, and if the dictionary is empty, then also an empty list should be returned, flagging that there are no materials below the threshold. So here, first of all, let's define our second function. And again, let's copy from the expected so that we do not make a mistake. And here we will first check the edge case. If the inventory dictionary is empty, then it should return 0. In this case, it should return an empty list. The low stock items should also be initially defined. This is supposed to be a list, and initially it will be an empty list. Now for the material and quantity, in the inventory dictionary items, if the quantity is less than the threshold, then the low stock items list will be used to append that particular material, and at the end, after the for loop has passed, then we will return the low stock items list. And let's check if we pass the test cases. And all test cases pass. So we are done with question number 2.